What if the story of Job was censored? You know Job as the man who lost everything and still praised God. But what if I told you that's only half the story? There's a forgotten text buried outside the Bible that reveals what Job did before the trials, why Satan really targeted him, and the strange, supernatural blessings his daughters received, while his sons were barely mentioned. This isn't the story your church told. This is the Testament of Job, an ancient apocryphal text that fills in the blanks most people never knew were missing. And what it reveals changes everything about how we understand Job's purpose, his suffering, and his legacy. Let's open the vault. Let's dive straight into the story of Job, not just the one you've heard in church. I'm talking about the one hidden in the apocryphal text, a version that tells us why Job was attacked, and what really happened before the suffering ever began. According to the forgotten book known as the Testament of Job, Job was dying. He knew his time in this body was almost over. So he called his 7 sons and 3 daughters and said,
"Come close. Form a circle around me. I need to tell you what the Lord did in my life. The part nobody talks about. The part that started it all."
He looked them in the eyes and reminded them,
"You are the children of a chosen man. You don't come from just any bloodline. I am a descendant of Esau. Your mother is Dinah. You are heirs of a sacred legacy."
But then he says something heartbreaking.
"Before your mother, I had another wife. And with her, I had 10 children. They all died in a bitter death."
This is not the version of Job most people know. Because before the pain, Job was powerful. He ruled the land of Uz, Alcides. Not just a rich man, but a king. And his name? It wasn't always Job. He was once called Jobab, and he was feared and respected. But here's where it gets spiritual. Near Job's home, the people built a temple to a false god. They worshipped it daily, offering sacrifices, burning incense, bowing in fear. But something didn't sit right in Job's spirit. He started to wonder,
How do I know this idol is real? What if this isn't the one who made heaven and earth?
That night, as he slept, a voice called out,
"Jobab, Jobab, rise up. I'll show you the truth."
And what he heard shook him to his core.
That idol they worship, it's not God. It's a deception, a trap. That's the seducer, Satan himself, tricking the people into serving him.
Immediately, Job fell to the ground. He cried out,
"Lord, if that's Satan, give me the power to destroy it. Let me cleanse this land so no one else is deceived."
And then the fire spoke back. It wasn't just a voice anymore. An angel revealed himself, the archangel of the Lord. And he told Job,
You can destroy the idol, but if you do, you're declaring war. Satan will come for you with everything he's got. He'll strip you of your wealth. He'll kill your children. He'll drag your body through disease and suffering. But if you endure it, your name will be remembered for all generations.
Then the angel sealed Job with divine authority and vanished. And Job, without fear, without hesitation, he said,
Out of love for God, I will endure it all, even if it costs me my life.
That was the beginning of Job's trial, not a test out of nowhere, not random suffering for spiritual flex points. Job declared war on Satan himself, and that's what triggered everything that followed. So after the angel left, Job got to work. He wasn't just talking about taking down the idol, he did it. In the middle of the night, Job rose up, gathered 50 of his servants, and marched straight to the temple where the false god stood. And he tore it to the ground. Not a single stone was left standing. Job destroyed Satan's altar. And just like that, the war began. Want to read the full apocryphal text for yourself? Unlock our vault library of apocryphal texts for just $5.99. Lifetime access. New ancient writings are added every month, and you'll get unlimited access forever. Tap in now, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update. So after the angel left, Job got to work. He wasn't just talking about taking down the idol. He did it. In the middle of the night, Job rose up, gathered 50 of his servants, and marched straight to the temple where the false god stood. And he tore it to the ground. Not a single stone was left standing. Job destroyed Satan's altar, and just like that, the war began. Back home, he locked his doors tight and told his guards,
If anyone asks for me, tell them I'm inside handling urgent matters. They don't need to see me.
But Satan wasn't going to sit still. He showed up, disguised as a beggar. He banged on Job's door.
Tell Job I need to speak with him.
The doorkeeper asked Job, but Job refused. He stayed inside, calm, focused. So Satan switched tactics. He came back with a torn basket over his shoulder, even more pitiful looking this time.
Tell Job to give me some bread. I'm starving.
When Job heard that, he didn't ignore it. He gave bread, but not just any bread. Burnt bread, charred, ashed, because Job knew who was at the door.
Let him eat this, if he dares. But let it be known, my bread is forbidden to him.
But the doorkeeper didn't get it. She felt bad for the poor beggar. So instead of the burnt bread Job gave her, she gave Satan clean bread from her own stash. Big mistake. Satan looked her in the face and said,
You disobeyed your master. Go back. Bring me the real bread he gave you.
The servant returned, ashamed. She handed over the burnt bread and said,
My master says, You shall not eat my bread. It is forbidden to you.
And that's when Satan showed his true hand. He sent a final message back to Job.
You see how this bread is black and burnt? That's going to be your body soon. I'll make you look just like this.
And Job, unfazed, replied, Then do what you came to do.
I'm not afraid of your threats. I'm ready for the fire.
At that moment, Satan left, but not in defeat, in permission. He went straight up under heaven, stood before God and said,
Let me take everything, his flocks, his fields, his wealth, his comfort.
And God gave him the power. Satan descended back to earth and stripped Job of everything. Instantly. The wealth, gone. The empire, gone. The comfort, gone. And still, Job didn't curse God, because this wasn't about riches. This was a man who signed up for war and refused to back down. According to the book of Job, chapter 1, Job was a blameless and upright man who feared God and turned away from evil. He lived in the land of Uz, the same region mentioned in the apocryphal version, and he was incredibly wealthy, owning thousands of livestock, a large household, and 10 children, 7 sons and 3 daughters. He was described as the greatest of all the men of the East. Job was also spiritually responsible, offering sacrifices on behalf of his children regularly, just in case they had sinned or cursed God in their hearts. But then, something happened in the spiritual realm. The scene shifts to heaven, where the sons of God, divine beings or angels, present themselves before the Lord, and Satan comes with them. God asks Satan,
Where have you come from?
Satan responds,
From roaming throughout the earth.
Then the Lord asks something shocking.
Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, blameless and upright, fearing God and shunning evil.
But Satan accuses Job of serving God only because he's been blessed and protected. He says,
"Stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face."
And this is where it gets real. God gives Satan permission, saying,
Very well, everything he has is in your power, but do not lay a finger on the man himself.
From this point, Satan is unleashed, and Job's test of faith begins. Now back to the apocryphal text. Now we've seen how Job wasn't just rich, he was righteous with his riches. Chapter 3 revealed a version of Job's life that most people have never heard before. He didn't just tithe, he built an entire ecosystem for the poor, from thousands of sheep used for clothing orphans, to oxen working fields just to feed the hungry, to ships sent out only to deliver food to the sick in nearby villages. Job's entire household was run like a 24/7 charity operation, and not a single soul ever left his home hungry. But now, the test begins. Just like the angel warned in chapter 1. Satan had received permission to strip Job of everything. One by one, disaster struck. Job explains his sorrow to his children, stating,
"First, my herds were taken from me. My animals stolen or slain. My oxen were gone. My mills were destroyed. My slaves were scattered. My ships lost to the sea."
Then came the drought. The earth hardened. The crops failed. The same fields that once fed thousands now lay empty. The poor, who once found safety in Job's generosity, returned, now starving, confused. Some cursed him. Some wept. Some even accused him of sin. Job's own servants turned against him. The strangers he had trusted with money and bonds never returned. Those he forgave forgot him. And then, the worst came. A mighty wind struck the house where his sons and daughters were feasting. All 10 of his children were crushed to death. Job's entire legacy vanished. And still, he did not curse God. Instead, he tore his robe, shaved his head, fell to the ground, and worshipped.
"Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord."
This part of the story matches closely with the biblical account. But in the apocryphal text, you get to feel the weight of it differently. Job wasn't just a rich man. He was a king, a nation, a walking system of charity. And in one swift moment, all of it was gone. But the devil wasn't done yet. We already saw Job's generosity, his kingdom, his sacrifices. But what we're about to see is the targeted destruction of everything he ever built. And just like the angel warned him back in chapter 1, the seducer, Satan, was not finished. Job's children had everything. Something interesting in the book of Job, it dives deep into the routine he had set in place to keep him and his family loyal to God. Job and his children had wealth, position, freedom. But they didn't grow up entitled. Job made sure they served. Every day, his sons and daughters rotated duties in the household and then sat together for their daily feasts, a tradition rooted in love and unity. But Job knew something deeper. Prosperity without humility becomes poison. So every morning, Job would rise early and offer sacrifices, not for himself, but for the sins his children might have committed in arrogance. Maybe they said in their hearts, "We are rich. We owe the poor nothing." Maybe they forgot who gave them all this. And just like that, the seducer had what he needed. Not because Job failed, but because he succeeded. Satan couldn't stand to watch good flourish. Then came the storm. One by one, Job's animals were slaughtered. His sheep, his camels, his cattle, all destroyed. Some by fire, some stolen by enemies. And worst of all, some stolen by people he had helped. The very ones who ate at his table betrayed him. But Job said nothing. He didn't curse. He didn't fight. He worshiped. But the seducer wasn't done. This time, Satan showed up in disguise as the king of Persia himself and led an attack on Job's city.
This man, Job,
He told the people,
hoarded everything for himself. He even tore down the temple of God. Now I'm here to repay him for what he's done.
And the people believed him. They turned against Job, stormed his home, and looted everything. They sat at his tables, laid in his beds, and laughed in his halls, while Job watched it all with his own eyes, helpless. He couldn't stop them. He couldn't speak. He was in shock, like a ship captain who throws cargo into the sea just to stay afloat. Job knew this was the storm the angel warned him about. And then came the final blow. Satan returned, still disguised. He told the crowd,
He still has 7 sons and 3 daughters. We must kill them too.
and before anyone could protest, Satan collapsed the house upon them. All 10 of Job's children, dead. When the news reached Job, he didn't scream. He didn't beg. He tore his clothes and whispered,
The Lord gave, the Lord has taken away. As the Lord has willed, so it has come to be. May his name be blessed.
So far, Satan had destroyed everything Job owned. His wealth, his reputation, his children. But Job never cursed God. And that's when Satan realized the only thing left to attack was Job's body. Satan went back to God. He asked for one final permission, to strike Job's flesh. And this time God said,
You can touch his body, but not his soul.
That's all Satan needed. He came like a hurricane, literally, knocked over Job's throne and smashed him to the ground. Then came the sickness,
From the top of my head to the soles of my feet.
Job said.
My body was covered in sores.
Job left the city, not as a king, but as a worm-eaten outcast, oozing with pain, sitting on a pile of dung.
I watched worms crawl out of my body, and I gently placed them back. They were sent for a reason, he whispered. Let them stay until God moves them.
He sat like this for 7 years. And then came the worst part, watching his wife suffer. This was the same woman who once had guards escort her to her wedding. Now she was fetching water like a servant, just to bring bread home, and Job saw it.
The men I wouldn't even trust to guard my sheep, now they treat my wife like a slave.
He said. Eventually, the bread ran out, and his wife had no choice but to beg. But she met someone on the road, a bread seller, or so she thought. But it was Satan, in disguise. He told her,
You want bread? Then pay for it.
She begged,
I have no money. Have mercy.
but Satan sneered.
If you didn't deserve your suffering, you wouldn't be here.
Then he offered her a deal.
Give me the hair on your head, and I'll give you 3 loaves.
And here comes one of the most painful moments in this whole text.
What is my hair compared to my starving husband?
She said. So she agreed. Right there, in front of everyone, Satan shaved her head, humiliated her, then handed her 3 loaves of bread, and she walked home. Job never knew the price she paid for those loaves, but Satan followed her in secret, still not done twisting the knife. This is the kind of suffering that breaks people. But Job still never cursed God, and his wife still brought him bread. Cities, Job's wife, can't take it anymore. She walks up to him, this man she once knew as royalty, and sees him still sitting on a pile of dung, covered in sores and worms, for 7 years. She's not just angry, she's devastated.
Job, how long will you sit here like this, still hoping for salvation? I've gone from place to place, begging, wandering, starving, and no one even remembers your name anymore.
She reminds him of the children she bore, of the wealth they lost, of the dignity she gave up to bring him scraps of bread. And then she tells him something he didn't know. She reveals what Satan made her do.
The bread I gave you, I bought it by selling the hair on my head.
She says,
I stood in the middle of the marketplace, and a little stranger, a man I didn't know, cut off my hair with scissors. And the worst of all, everyone watched, and they didn't whisper. They gasped out loud. They said, Is that Cetis, Job's wife? The woman who had golden couches and servants, the one who once washed her feet in basins of silver. Now she was selling her hair for bread.
She breaks and begs Job to curse God.
Take this bread,
she says,
and curse God so you can finally die.
She's not being cruel. She's exhausted, heartbroken, hollow. This is the moment where she becomes the reflection of Job's test. But Job doesn't just reject her plea. He exposes the truth. He looks at her and says,
You think these sufferings are just pain? You don't see Satan standing behind you, using you.
Then Job turns directly to Satan and says,
Why do you hide behind my wife like a coward? Come out and face me.
And in one of the most shocking moments of the entire text, Satan breaks down. He steps out from behind Job's wife and admits defeat.
Job, I'm a spirit. You're just flesh. But you've beaten me.
He compares it to a wrestling match.
I've broken your body, but you still cry out with strength, and I can't defeat that.
Then Satan, the one who destroyed Job's world, walks away in shame. Job wins, not because he's rich, not because he's strong, but because he never let go of God, even when his wife lost hope, even when Satan tried everything. We will stop here, but make sure you subscribe, and next week we will dive into part 2 of this story.